Welcome to the Regina Queen Show, founder of Uplifting Women in All Walks of Life. We hope everyone is having a beautiful day. Life is beautiful. Life is what we make of it. Today I have here with me Laura Hurley. Laura Hurley is here with me today, raising awareness against gun violence and the challenges against COVID, and would like to give some helps and some tips and hints of how to challenge COVID and gun violence. As you know, violence has risen during COVID. We had many murders, robberies during 2020. So many people, so many families has been horrible impacted by violence during the pandemic. Laura, please share some of the statistics with us here today of the violence that we have during the pandemic and how it has risen since 2020. What have you seen and what have you did on your research? Because I feel that it's very, very, very important that families know to protect your family during this pandemic. You know, people are focusing more on the COVID, the virus, and they're forgetting about the guns that is killing our youth as well. And not only our youth, so many people around the world during this pandemic.
Yes, ma'am. First off, thank you, Regina, for having me on here. It's always a pleasure to see you and talk with you. So I did a little research through the FBI statistics, and now we're just talking about the United States alone. There were 21,570 murders in 2020. Now, my son was murdered in 2019, so we are pre-pandemic. But in 2019, across the United States, there was only 16,669. And I say that very loosely when I say only. It has risen 29% during the pandemic times, which is 16,669 in 2019 is still 16,669 too many. However, such a raise in 29% in just a single year is mind-blowing. And they're also saying that these statistics, this is the highest numbers. 2020 was the highest numbers since 1995. Now for 2021, we don't have the statistics up yet because they're still working on that, and everything has to get categorized and stuff like this. We're talking that is just gun violence. Yeah. That's just gun violence. That's 21,570 victims of gun violence in the United States alone in 2020. That doesn't include domestic violence. That doesn't include, anybody's stabbings or strangulations or just anything. That's only gun violence. And that is very, very disturbing. So what they're blaming this on, and this is actually, I'm on the fence about this one because they're saying one thing I will say is that a lot of robberies and things that have gone wrong are not necessarily personal. When you have economical strains, sometimes people resort to other things. Should it be gun violence and at the end of the road, homicide? No, but people were struggling. People were getting laid off. The government wasn't in there quick enough to try to help. I mean, they came in strong, and it's not that people don't appreciate that, but that was one of the things, hardships, people ready to lose their homes, didn't know how to feed their families. We all went down on lockdown across the United States. The socialization alone of just being stuck within your walls, not telling you're only allowed to go out to the grocery store if you have a doctor's appointment, not being able to see your family, or, kids not being able to see their friends, not able to go to school. A lot of this is taking a lot of toll on people. However, COVID is not the only pandemic out there. Now, if you're telling me that in 2019, 16,669 victims of gun violence prior to the pandemic, and it rose 29% within 1 year because of a pandemic.
Well,
Where is the real pandemic?
well,
That's an extreme. That doesn't include attempts, or it doesn't include robberies and other violent crimes. That's just gun violence, and that's what it doesn't include assaults. Thank you, my daughter chimed
that
in.
is an essential question. Where is the pandemic?
I mean, in reality, we've lost so many people to COVID, to this disease that is attacking everybody. And still, if you even look on the news, oh, this is fake, this is nothing. No, COVID is very real. It is a very real problem that is taking away loved ones, but so is homicide. I mean, it's one is not more prevalent than the other.
Right, exactly. And people,
It's like a new focus.
yeah,
You
people
know,
it,
when
it tends to forget about
right
uh
when all
the,
this was going on, you lost a lot of, we as the people lost a lot of things. I'm gonna move to another room because here comes my grandbaby.
okay.
She's up. And say hi, Winter. I'm live. Excuse me.
Oh,
Thank you.
how are you?
We're gonna
Yes.
go in the living room real quick. Sorry, it's dark.
Have a
We got a
beautiful
big house. I
family.
like to
And
save on my electricity when I can.
this is why we
Um,
are here, to be a voice for our youth so they will be able to live a life free of violence as much as possible.
here, here's the thing, Regina, is that COVID is now getting old. It's old news to a lot of people, and that's kind of the way homicide is. You're in the news, you're out of the news. It's I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Winter. It's
Well,
it's just
I truly believe we have criminals using the pandemic to
as
commit more
excuses.
crimes.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're using the pandemic to commit more crimes, to commit more robberies, domestic violence. They're looking for something, the pandemic, to blame on their criminal activities. You
they're
know,
using this. You're reading in the news so much. Oh my gosh, about parents killing their kids, and they're well, like she was struggling or he was struggling to find work. He was this, there's that. There is resources out there. They can tend to be difficult to get, but there is resources out there. Listen, I'm a single parent. I've been a single parent for 26 years,
mhm.
and I always figured it out. I never harmed a hair on my kid's head, so I cannot use COVID as an excuse. I couldn't use my former job shutting down because that was the rules and regulations as an excuse to violate my home or another person or anything of that sort. And I really do believe that this pandemic is yeah, it's being used as an excuse. It's a cover up, if I may say, because if you have an excuse, then you have reasonable doubt of why this happened. And that's the thing. But this is the hot thing right now. People don't want to look at the fact that 2020 rose 29% in gun violence alone. But we're still going to talk about, well, I don't want to get the vaccination.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's a violation of my rights. What about the victims' rights? Where's the
Yeah.
violation in their rights that during a pandemic they lost their lives and now somebody has a crutch to lean on? Well, this is why I broke into their house, or this is why I robbed them at gunpoint.
Yes.
There's no excuse for homicide. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, it isn't at all. There's no excuse. It's just somebody that want to take somebody's life and not care about others at all.
Listen, gun violence destroyed my entire universe. It smacked my family. It continuously every day the loss of my son smacks me and my family in the face.
Yes.
Because not only do I grieve my son, my kids grieve their brother, but they grieve their mother.
Yes.
Because it's very difficult to try to feel whole when you have a hole going through you. And people don't see that. They don't want to see that. They don't want to talk about it. It didn't affect my household. I'm going to turn my head. I'm not going to get vaccinated because none of us got COVID. I'm going to walk around mask free just because it's my right to do so. Nobody thinks about the other person. And that's the disturbing part.
Well, you have many people around the world today that are is more terrified uh, about being shot and killed by someone with um, a gun, more terrified than they are against COVID.
I don't
They're
I
not
don't fear
worried about
COVID. COVID hit my house.
COVID-19. They're worried about a gun, being murdered, being killed with a gun. And I just thought that was so very important to, talk about
It is
today,
important.
to bring
When you
awareness,
fear
to bring
walking out of your
awareness.
home or living in a neighborhood or rely on public transportation and don't know if you're going to be safe because there's just people out there
Hmm.
holding people at gunpoint.
Hmm.
It's terrifying. I'm not terrified to die.
Hmm.
I'm not scared to die at all. I'm
Hmm.
scared of living. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, watching every move my children make. And being a family of a homicide victim, you try to put your world back in a bubble because you're so scared
Hmm.
that it's going to take another life of somebody you love.
Yes.
So, my daughter says I'm walking to the store. I watch her. She's 17 going on 18. She should be allowed to walk to the store, which is a block up the street. But I watch her.
Mm.
And if I'm not home to watch her, I track her. See, you
Yeah.
got there. Okay, you're back. Let me know when you get there. Let me know. And you know what? This is not a life to live where
Right.
you constantly have to have fear.
Right. Do you have anybody there with you in North Carolina that is helping you uh, spread awareness throughout the communities to prevent gun violence? Have you orchestrated, you know, anyone?
I'm
Yeah.
currently trying to bring the group chapter um, to my area. I did get with a few women that do a lot within their community, not just about gun violence, but help giving back, help supporting, helping, keep people off the streets. And, they do a lot of great things. And they're in Greensboro, and I'm not quite as close. So it's not a horrific drive, but it's not up the street where I could be more involved, which um, this beautiful sister I met, her name is Tanya. She lost her child to gun violence. Um, and there's just, so I'm in works on that. I am constantly trying to connect with mothers all over the country who are seeking justice, who it's fresh with. I'm going into my third year. And I wish I could sit there and say it's gotten easier. It's gotten more robotic. But when I see especially a mother that's just starting and the pain and stuff like that, and I just try to tell her, sis, please, you gotta be easy on yourself. It's too fresh. This is you're gonna have these bumps, because I still have those bumps.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
still have big waves, and I'm still waiting justice for my son. And until then, this is my fight right now. And then even after that, this is my goal. My son's life will not be in vain. His death will not be in vain. And if I could do anything to help any parent out there, siblings, cousins, whatever, please reach out. Reach out to the sisterhood. The group that I belong with, you, Empowering Women, I just can't even tell you. It's just given me a very wonderful sense of direction and on things that I want to do and things I want to accomplish. And I know that these things cannot be accomplished alone, but I also know that nothing small will go unnoticed. And even though I'm just starting, I'm just really blessed to be with, other mothers like yourself who show their strength every day. And it's not, you just don't think about yourself. You think about all of us.
Yes.
And I just
Yes.
think that's a beautiful thing. So if there is any mother out there watching that is not part of this group, please reach out to Regina Queen. You have no idea how much that this group, in the small time that I've been involved, has really evolved me, and I'm
Yes.
very grateful for that. But we have to all start standing together because it's not going anywhere. It's getting worse.
Yes.
It,
Exactly.
it's,
Exactly.
and you know what? I hate to break it to everybody. COVID is not going anywhere.
Yes.
Every
It
time you
is.
turn around, there's a new variant. So we
Yes.
all need to come together as a
It's
community.
it's been a virus. It's been colds and flus and the virus. You know, people need to worry more about guns being placed into the wrong hands and people being murdered, dying by a gun. Gun violence, senseless. I say senseless. Gun violence, and for our sisterhood group, um, um, I would love for a more of single parents, mothers, to come join us and be involved, with us throughout the sisterhood group, because as being a single parent and that impact leaves a horrible impact on families too, as raising up children without a father and not being in their lives, because mothers take in so much, of doing the job by
I'm
themselves
sorry.
and everything.
Let's get a little louder, everybody.
Yes, yes, and it's okay. And so I would love for many, women to come join in who are single mothers and be a part of our sisterhood group and help, raise awareness against gun and domestic violence. So we can all
and
support.
and there's just so much that's going on. And I used to sit there and say, this world's not ugly. It's people that are making it ugly.
Thank you for that.
And
Yeah.
I blame the world. I blame the
Yes.
world. But in all honesty, we need to start pointing at ourselves. We are
Yes.
the reason why this is happening. I mean, just think about community relations alone, the segregation that goes on in this, that was allowed. You know what I mean? You blatantly see, sorry, we're going to run through, you blatantly see racism now out in the open. It was such a hidden thing. My children are biracial. In society, I'm sorry, my grandbaby wants me, she's following me. Um, in society, Cal, one room or the other, please. Society just now says it's okay to be that way. My children are not acknowledged as biracial. You look at them, they are beautiful and they are brown. They are considered Black Americans.
Yes. Yes.
And just, these are the struggles that they have to go through. I commented on so many things. This whole thing that happened with, George Floyd, that destroyed community. People do not feel trustworthy in their own people they're supposed to trust the most.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're a victim of homicide, how, after all of this, especially, and I hate to say it, if you are an African American, you are Black, how do you entrust in your detective that they're going to do right by
Well,
your investigation when you don't trust the police?
exactly.
It's just, this is all things that have just changed and it changed so drastically and so quickly. But this all
Exactly.
stems back on us. You know what I mean? We as a community have to do better. We
Yes.
have to.
Yes. We
We
do.
we have to. What are we teaching our kids? You know who I fear for? My grandchildren. 4 and 16 months. What is it going to be like for them when it's so bad now? If we don't start making changes now, how are they going to be able? You don't even feel safe about kids going into school. There's school shootings.
Yeah.
Parents, we got to grab a hold of our kids. We gotta be more involved on what they're doing. These
Yeah.
streets, they're eating our kids up. They are. How are they getting possession of guns at 16?
Yes.
By law, they're not supposed to even be able to touch one until they're 18, and that's just a hunting rifle. How are they getting it in their possession?
Yes. And you know,
There's
a
so
lot of
much
these guns,
senseless
these
death and
the youth,
homicide
the
and
youth
gun
is
violence because we don't want to face the problem head on.
yeah. And you know, Laura, a lot of the our youth is getting a hold to ghost guns, getting a hold to ghost guns, where you know, and from my research, you know, some guns, these ghost guns are being bought online, and you know they're untraceable, and you know that's horrible to be able to, you know, for the youth to be able to have access to the internet to even buy
To buy a gun.
a gun. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
well,
that's
here's another
horrible.
thing that I'm just going to point out. I am not against people having guns. I own one. That was,
Yeah, and you know,
I
right, and
listen.
that's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. You know,
I am licensed to carry. I am.
yeah,
I am.
I
But
always say,
what
I
I
am
do
not
know
against.
is that you can't access my weapon.
Right, Laura. I do always say that, you know, I'm not against, you know, having a gun and people to have guns in their
You
home.
got to have responsibility for your firearms.
Gotta
If your
have to be
firearm is stolen,
responsible. Yes, don't
if
just go
you and
kill.
you don't report it, you are just as bad as the person that pulled the trigger, knowing that your gun is
Right,
out there in somebody else's hands. That is your responsibility.
right.
Bottom line.
Don't just go kill your best friend.
That's right.
Don't just go kill your best friend. Don't just go kill your
My kids can't get into mine. I
your
got a
mother.
thumbprint. You don't
Don't
got
just
my
go
thumb
kill
on it,
your
you ain't
father.
opening my case.
Yes.
I do that protection because A, you know what? I do have teenagers. B, my teenagers has friends. C, I got grandchildren that run around. I'm not going to be irresponsible, but I know where mine is at all times.
Yes. Yes.
That's the whole thing. If your gun is taken, you have to take the responsibility of reporting it. And I'm sorry if it was your Uncle Charlie or your Aunt Sue that you know and you don't want to get your family in trouble. If that gets out of their hands and somebody else's hands, you are equally as responsible. You have to be a responsible gun owner. That's just it. Because then there wouldn't be so many out here. At least, you did the right thing. I reported it stolen. It's gone out of my possession. I don't know, do not know where it is. Because
Exactly.
maybe if when it first happens, you report it, they can already start investigation, not something that's going to happen. It's been hidden for 2 years that's got 9 bodies on it.
Yes.
Guns are too accessible to our younger generation. Do I think that the people that killed my son were licensed to carry? No. No. It's not been revealed yet, but I know for a fact. I'm pretty sure. No.
No, they're
Whose was it? How
no.
did you access that?
Right.
And saying we got,
Exactly.
even if it's something so small and you don't think it's such a big thing, it is. Are you missing a box of ammo? Somebody stole your ammo.
Yes.
Report it.
Exactly.
That's just the bottom line. You walk over here, you're on camera.
Yes. So Laura, thank you so much for being here with me today on the Regina Queen Show to, you know, raise awareness for gun violence and COVID-19. You know, the challenges. You know,
Both of
that
these problems, we cannot keep sweeping it under the rug. They're real and they're here.
I
And
would
we
like to
have
ask you. I would like to ask you again. I would like to ask you again, because so people can hear. I just want to know, what are you more terrified of, COVID or guns? The gun violence.
Oh, I'm not terrified of COVID. COVID hit my house. We
Mm,
survived because we're healthy and we took the appropriate steps. We kept away from people. I personally did not get COVID, but it did come in my home. I've done my share. I am vaccinated. I am boosted. Do I know what's in it? No. But you know what? I work around elderly people, and I'm not going to be one that's going to, somebody with a compromised immune system, I'm not going to be the one that's going to, put their lives in danger. So I did my part. We did our part. All but the babies are vaccinated now, and
mm,
we just, that's it. It is what it is. We mask up. We go into stores. We wear masks. When we're around other people, we're masked. I mean, when we're with us, here, no, we're not going to walk around our own home masked up. We did when there was COVID here, but you know,
yes.
It's
Yes.
just the thing is that you got to think about the next person. I don't just think about my own household. I think about my neighbor's household. You know,
Yes.
it's this is bigger than just my own personal opinion. And
Yes.
believe me, in the beginning, I was against it because I said, I didn't feel that there was enough research and stuff put through it. But when I started watching people die and people I know losing loved ones to COVID, it was a no brainer because that's me doing my part.
Yes. Yes. And during the pandemic in 2020, I was so terrified of COVID. And I was driving around with the mask on, scared to go out, scared to touch different things. We have to go out to the stores and everything. I was afraid to go out in the stores. I was just so afraid of COVID. I mean, I'm super afraid. But then I get a phone call and said my son was murdered by a gun. And I'm like, all this damn time, I'm sitting up here terrified of COVID. COVID didn't kill my family.
No, it
Some
didn't.
some dumb motherfucker with a gun killed my family, my son.
It's the whole thing I don't understand.
Excuse my
It's one of my
language, but
biggest things. I don't
I'm an
understand
adult.
what gives anybody the inclination that God allowed them to do this. You are not God. You do not have the right to take somebody else's life. That's it. So where you thought that that was okay, I don't understand. And you got these murderers running around free and everything else. How do you sleep at night?
Mm,
People harboring them, hiding, helping them hide out and stuff like that. How do you sleep at night knowing that there's a murderer in your house? If the table was turned, would you want somebody to not be held accountable for your child or loved one's murder? I
yes.
just don't understand. I don't sleep at night because my son was murdered.
Mm.
But how
And
I couldn't even if the shoe was on the other foot, I couldn't even ask myself a million times, you know, how I could how I could even live with that.
yes,
It just doesn't make sense.
yes,
But I gotta pray that one day everybody's conscience starts to become clean and they start seeing that the world problems are not just the world's problems. There are problems. Murders out in
exactly.
California are still my problem here in North Carolina because this is my country. You are my sister. We share a bond we shouldn't have to share. I should have met you on so many different circumstances. But the way that I'm
Exactly.
meeting you has bonded us even tighter because we share a story. We share pain, and it's the pain is familiar. And it shouldn't be that way. We should not have to share the pain of losing our child to gun violence. We should be sharing, hey, you know what? I think I would look okay in that color pink too. I wouldn't because I'm red in the cheeks, but you get where I'm going. I should be finding you in a group where you do uplift and help women and single mothers and stuff like that because that alone is a pandemic.
Yes,
What
exactly.
about the pandemic of raising your children on your own because you don't have the help and the resources? That,
Exactly.
but nobody sees that as a pandemic either. But that's a whole
Yes,
nother
yes,
live session.
yes,
I could talk for years on that one.
yes, yes. That is the pandemic right there.
Right there. You know what?
That's the
You
pandemic.
make them, you take care of them. That's it.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And so since our first interview, and when you shared your son Brendan's story, Brendan, beautiful Brendan, rest in peace. We love you. And from the day that you shared his story, how have you been navigating from that day, since then? And because I know I see you do a lot of TikTok, TikTok spreading awareness. How has that been for you? And have any parents reached out to you to, you
I've
know,
actually met a few parents
spread
off
awareness?
TikTok. I've met a few parents. I do believe that I get a lot of support. My numbers are still growing. In the beginning, my TikTok was just to make sure that my son's memory, that people knew who he was, and I could share my story and share how beautiful he is. I'm going to say he is because he still is beautiful, and that was my first thing. I never thought to grow to the numbers I have. I'm very close to 10,000 I'm growing every day, and if you want to follow me, it's at Laura Hurley 2 on TikTok. But if you also have a story of your loved one or your cold case, or you'd like me to share your child, and this goes worldwide, this is viewed by many, and I would be happy to share your baby too. But then that's where I started to realize that this could be bigger than just my son, and my son's not the only victim. And so a lot of people forget that there is. I just
Yes.
gave you statistics that it hits home and it's personal, and yes, it is. It's so personal, and I grieve every day. There's days that everything has become robotic, and then it started coming, well, I got to fight for justice, and that's what's been keeping me pushing, and now I'm pushing for another family because I want to see them get justice. And now there's another mother, Brenda, that we're going to be planning a march for the injustice in the justice system for her child that was murdered.
Yeah.
And
Is this one is this one in the one
Brenda
for
Skurlock, yeah, I believe that she's with the sisterhood too.
yeah,
Yeah,
the one
I'm gonna get with her, and I'm gonna video call her this evening and start making arrangements, because what's going on is not
yeah.
okay, and that's our judicial system. Because that's a whole another
Yes.
show.
Yes.
Is the
Okay, because
judicial system, how it
there's a
caters
march for the
to the
march,
accused.
Laura, for the march that's coming up in June.
No, no,
Is
no, no,
this,
no. We're
this
gonna go
is a
march
different one?
at our justice system here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, okay.
Oh
So
no,
this is
I will be there in June. Me and my girls will be coming.
okay.
Oh
So
yeah, and I look
you're going
forward
to be
to
there too.
seeing. Yes, I can't wait.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yes.
And
It's
Miss Stewart's
united.
gonna be there, and just all the mothers that I've been bonding with. I'm very excited to finally be able to meet you guys. So,
Yes, yes. And it's
well,
going to be
Regina, I hate to cut this short, but my
yeah,
grandbaby is pounding on the
yeah.
door for
I
me.
would love to cut it. I would love to cut it short too. And thank you so
She
much.
wants her grandma.
Yeah.
She's
And
done.
thank you everyone for being here with us today on the Regina Queen Show. It's raising awareness against gun violence. And please don't keep your focus on COVID. Remember, there's people out there running around with guns in their hands, ready to rob, kill, and steal. So protect yourself and have a beautiful life. Bye, little man. Bye. Bye, handsome. Thank you so much, Laura. You enjoy your family. Take care.
All right,
Bye
Regina, you have
bye.
a
See
great
you
night. I'll
soon.
talk to you soon, sis.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.